Imagine standing outside a boutique before sunrise. The street is still quiet, the windows are dark, yet a line has already formed. People wrapped in coats, clutching coffee cups, checking their phones, glancing at the door every few seconds. Some have traveled across cities, some across states. They are not here for food, not for shelter, not even for necessity. They are here for a handbag, or a pair of sneakers, or a watch, something they may not even truly need, and yet they want it badly. Why? Because there aren't enough to go around. Scarcity, the simple act of limiting supply, has become one of the most powerful forces in modern branding. It transforms products into symbols, purchases into experiences, and customers into believers. In a world overflowing with choices, abundance often leads to indifference. But scarcity creates desire. It sparks urgency. It fuels status. And for luxury brands, it has become a secret weapon that doesn't just drive sales, it builds empires. This is not just about fashion. It is not just about wealth. It is about psychology, identity, and the subtle ways brands shape human behavior. It is about how scarcity turns objects into obsessions, and it is about why the rarest things often feel the most valuable. To understand why scarcity makes luxury brands stronger, we must first understand something deeper about human nature. For most of history, scarcity was not a marketing tactic. It was reality. Food was scarce, resources were scarce, opportunity was scarce. Survival itself depended on securing limited goods. Over thousands of years, our brains evolved to pay special attention to things that were rare. If something was difficult to obtain, it was often important, valuable, worth pursuing. That ancient instinct still lives inside us. Today, we may not hunt for survival, but we still hunt for meaning, for identity, for belonging. And luxury brands understand this better than almost anyone else. In the early days of consumer culture, businesses competed on accessibility. The goal was simple: reach more people, sell more units, grow faster. Department stores expanded, supermarkets multiplied. Mass production brought affordability to millions. The idea of success was tied to scale. But luxury brands chose a different path. Instead of trying to reach everyone, they focused on reaching a select few. Instead of increasing supply, they limited it. Instead of emphasizing practicality, they emphasized aspiration. And something remarkable happened. The fewer products they made, the more people seemed to want them. This paradox lies at the heart of luxury. Scarcity does not reduce demand, it amplifies it. When something is hard to get, it feels more meaningful to own. The effort becomes part of the story. The wait becomes part of the experience. The purchase becomes part of the identity. Think about the feeling of finally acquiring something you've wanted for a long time. The excitement is not just about the object itself, it's about the journey, the anticipation, the emotional investment. Luxury brands carefully design that journey. They release limited collections, they create waiting lists, they quietly discontinue popular items, they produce small batches, they control distribution, they choose where and how their products appear. Every decision sends a signal. This is not for everyone. And that signal is incredibly powerful. In psychology, there is a principle known as the scarcity effect. When people perceive something as limited, they assign it higher value. Not necessarily because the object is changed, but because its availability has. The possibility of missing out activates a deep emotional response. This is why limited-time offers feel urgent, why countdown timers feel stressful, why sold-out signs feel disappointing. Scarcity turns passive interest into active desire. Luxury brands take this effect to another level. They do not simply say a product is scarce, they build an entire world around that idea. They craft narratives of craftsmanship, heritage, exclusivity, and prestige. They frame scarcity as intentional, meaningful, even noble. Owning the product becomes more than consumption. It becomes participation in a story. Consider the role of status in human society. From ancient tribes to modern cities, people have always used symbols to communicate social standing. Clothing, jewelry, architecture, vehicles. These objects serve as signals. They tell others who we are or who we aspire to be. Luxury brands transform scarcity into a status signal. If something is widely available, it cannot effectively distinguish one person from another. But if only a few people can access it, it becomes a marker of distinction. It communicates taste, success, exclusivity, and sometimes even power. This dynamic creates a fascinating feedback loop. Scarcity increases desirability. Desirability increases status value. Status value increases demand. Increased demand reinforces scarcity. The brand grows stronger not by producing more, but by resisting the temptation to do so. This strategy requires discipline. It often means leaving money on the table in the short term. When demand is high, mass production could generate enormous revenue. But luxury brands understand that overexposure can erode their identity. Too much availability can erode mystique, and mystique is priceless. Another important factor is perceived quality. Scarcity often creates the impression that something has been made with greater care. When production is limited, people assume more attention has been given to detail. Craftsmanship feels more authentic. Materials feel more special. Even when the functional difference is small, the emotional difference can be huge. Luxury purchases are rarely purely rational. They are driven by feelings, pride, excitement, confidence, belonging. Scarcity intensifies these feelings. It turns buying into winning, and winning feels good. But scarcity alone is not enough. For the strategy to work, it must be credible. Customers need to believe that the limitation is meaningful, not artificial. This is why many luxury brands emphasize tradition and expertise. They highlight handmade processes. They tell stories of artisans and workshops. They showcase the time and effort required to create each item. These narratives reinforce the logic of scarcity. If something truly takes time to make, then limited supply makes sense. It feels authentic. In recent years, scarcity has evolved into new forms. The digital age has not eliminated exclusivity. It has reinvented it. Online drops, invite-only access, membership-based purchasing, and algorithm-driven availability have transformed how consumers experience rarity. Social media has amplified the effect even further. When a limited product sells out within minutes, screenshots spread instantly. Influencers share unboxing videos. Forums buzz with speculation. The story of scarcity becomes public performance. The product becomes cultural currency. People who secure it gain not only an object, but also recognition, likes, comments, attention. Scarcity turns ownership into content. This visibility strengthens the brand's aura. It signals momentum. It signals relevance. It signals that something important is happening, and humans are drawn to importance. There is also a powerful emotional dimension to scarcity that goes beyond status. Limited products can feel personal. They can feel like discoveries. They can feel like memories. When you own something rare, it can create a sense of intimacy with the brand, a feeling that you are part of a smaller circle, a feeling that you understand something others may not. Luxury brands nurture this feeling through experiences, exclusive events, private previews, personalized communication, carefully designed retail spaces that feel more like galleries than stores. Every touchpoint reinforces the message, this is special. Scarcity also shapes pricing power. When supply is controlled and demand is strong, brands can maintain premium prices with confidence. Discounts become rare. Sales become unnecessary. The price itself becomes part of the prestige. High cost can signal high value, and paradoxically, raising prices can sometimes increase desirability. If a product becomes more expensive and remains scarce, it may appear even more exclusive. This phenomenon challenges traditional economic assumptions. In luxury markets, demand does not always fall as prices rise. Instead, higher prices can enhance the product's role as a status symbol.
Scarcity makes this dynamic sustainable. However, the strategy is not without risks. If scarcity feels manipulative, consumers may become skeptical. If waiting lists feel unfair, frustration can replace excitement. If resale markets spiral out of control, brands can lose their narrative. Luxury companies must constantly balance exclusivity with aspiration. They need enough scarcity to create desire, but enough accessibility to keep dreams alive. If a brand becomes too unreachable, it can fade from cultural relevance. If it becomes too common, it can lose its magic. The strongest luxury brands manage this tension masterfully.
They expand selectively. They introduce entry-level products that offer a taste of the brand while preserving ultra-rare flagship items. They cultivate long-term relationships with customers. They evolve while protecting their core identity. Scarcity becomes not just a tactic, but a philosophy. It shapes design decisions, distribution strategies, marketing narratives, even corporate culture. Behind the polished storefronts and glossy campaigns lies a complex system of supply chain planning, demand forecasting, and brand storytelling. Luxury is not accidental. Scarcity is not random. It is engineered with precision. And when done well, the results can be extraordinary. A product can transcend its function. It can become a symbol of achievement, a marker of taste, a piece of cultural history. This transformation is what makes luxury brands resilient. Trends come and go. Economic cycles rise and fall. Technologies disrupt industries. But scarcity-based positioning can provide enduring strength. It anchors the brand in perception rather than just performance. It builds emotional equity. And emotional equity can outlast almost anything. Interestingly, scarcity does not only influence buyers, it also shapes how employees, designers, and partners perceive the brand. Working for a prestigious company can feel like being part of something elite. Creating limited products can feel like producing art rather than merchandise. This internal pride can enhance quality and innovation. Scarcity, in this sense, becomes a cultural force. It aligns incentives, it sets standards, it defines ambition. Another layer to consider is storytelling. Humans are narrative-driven creatures. We remember stories more than statistics. Luxury brands often weave scarcity into compelling narratives of discovery, rarity, and legacy. A bag inspired by a historic journey, a watch commemorating a milestone, a limited edition tied to a cultural moment. These stories add meaning to limitation. They give consumers a reason to care beyond possession. In the modern American context, scarcity also intersects with ideas of individuality. Many people want to stand out while still belonging. Luxury products offer a way to express uniqueness within a recognizable framework. Owning something rare can signal both independence and cultural awareness. It can say, "I am part of this world, but I also have my own place within it." This dual message is incredibly appealing. Yet scarcity can also create controversy. Critics argue that it reinforces inequality, encourages excessive consumption, or prioritizes image over substance. These debates are part of the luxury landscape. Brands must navigate them carefully. Some respond by emphasizing sustainability, craftsmanship, and long-term value. They position scarcity as a way to reduce waste and promote quality over quantity. They frame luxury as investment rather than indulgence. Whether this narrative resonates depends on authenticity. Consumers today are more informed and more skeptical. They can sense when scarcity is meaningful and when it is merely theatrical. Transparency, therefore, is becoming increasingly important. Luxury brands that explain their processes, highlight their values, and engage with social issues may find new ways to strengthen the scarcity effect. They can transform exclusivity from a symbol of privilege into a symbol of purpose. This evolution reflects broader cultural shifts. Younger generations often seek experiences and values alongside status. They want brands to stand for something. Scarcity alone may attract attention, but meaning sustains loyalty. The future of luxury may depend on how well brands integrate these elements. Digital technologies will continue to reshape how scarcity is created and perceived. Virtual goods, tokenized ownership, immersive retail environments, all these innovations open new possibilities. Imagine limited digital fashion items worn in online worlds. Imagine exclusive virtual events accessible only through rare tokens. Imagine personalized scarcity, where algorithms tailor availability to individual preferences. The boundaries between physical and digital exclusivity are already blurring. Yet the underlying psychology remains constant. Humans value what is rare. Humans desire what feels meaningful. Humans seek symbols that reflect identity and aspiration. Luxury brands that understand this can adapt to any era. Ultimately, scarcity works because it transforms consumption into emotion. It turns products into stories, purchases into milestones, ownership into expression. It creates moments people remember. Think back to that early morning line outside the boutique. As the doors finally open, anticipation peaks. People step inside, hearts racing slightly faster. The lighting is soft. The displays are carefully arranged. The air feels different somehow, quieter, more intentional. When the purchase is complete, the packaging is elegant. The receipt is tucked neatly inside. The customer walks back into the daylight carrying not just a product, but a feeling of having secured something special. That feeling is the true currency of luxury. Scarcity is simply the mechanism that helps create it. As we move deeper into an age of abundance where nearly anything can be ordered instantly and delivered within hours, the power of scarcity may grow even stronger. When convenience becomes the norm, effort becomes meaningful. When access becomes universal, limitation becomes intriguing. Luxury brands that master this paradox will continue to thrive. They will remind us that value is not always about utility. Sometimes it is about emotion, about narrative, about the human need to seek, to strive, to distinguish. Scarcity does not just make products harder to find, it makes them harder to forget. And in a crowded marketplace where attention is the ultimate prize, being unforgettable is perhaps the greatest luxury of all. If this exploration changed the way you think about brands, desire, and the psychology of value, then the story has already done its job. Because understanding why we want what we want is the first step towards understanding how modern culture itself is shaped. The next time you see a limited release, a sold-out sign, or a waiting list stretching into months, pause for a moment. Ask yourself what you are really witnessing. Is it just commerce, or is it a carefully orchestrated performance of rarity and meaning? That question lies at the heart of luxury, and the answer may reveal as much about us as it does about the brands we admire. This is Brand Story Lad, where business becomes narrative, strategy becomes psychology, and every brand tells a deeper story. Stay curious.